Hello everyone and welcome to the WhiteGoblinGames living room. Today is yet again a very sad day because our king has died yet again. He keeps on dying, I don't know why, but it happened again. But I suspect magic had something to do with it, because in our kingdom there are now potions that people can drink to get stronger or weaker, and there are artifacts that give you special powers. I think it has to do with this expansion, so let's see how you play this expansion in Claim, Reinforcements, Magic. If you would like to play the expansion Claim Magic, then you'll need the core editions of Claim or Claim 2. And if you don't know the core rules, then you can look up the explanation video on our YouTube channel. For this explanation, I will use the core game Claim together with the expansion. Keep in mind that you can also use Claim 2. These are the 5 basic factions from Claim. If you want to use a new faction from an expansion, you can, but you always have to replace one of the new factions with one of the old factions, because you always play Claim with 5 factions. Claim Magic comes with 3 new factions, potions and artifacts. You can replace the Shapeshifters and the Druids as normal with other factions that have 10 cards in their pile. The goblins and the knights contain more or less than 10 cards, so those we cannot replace. In this case, I will replace the undead and the doppelgangers with the druids and the shapeshifters. The same rule applies for the wizards. You can replace the wizards with any other faction that has 10 cards in their pile. But when you use the wizards, you also have to use the potions deck. Shuffle the potion cards and place them in a face down deck on the table. Put the 5 factions in one big pile and shuffle them. Before you start the game, grab the 18 artifact cards and shuffle them. When you're done shuffling, give each player 3 artifact cards face down. Remove the rest of the artifact cards from the game. You don't place your 3 artifact cards in your hand, but instead place them face down in front of you on the table. You may look at your artifact cards whenever you want. Each of these cards will have a special power associated with them, and through clever play can put the player at a good advantage. Once you have used your artifact, you have to remove it from the game. This means you can use each of your artifacts only once per game. If there ever is a conflict between artifacts and other effects, then know that the powers of artifacts trump the powers of heroes, factions and locations. The game overview of Claim Magic is the same as the base games Claim and Claim 2. You play in 2 phases, you try to win as much factions as you can, and at the end of the game, the player who at least won 3 of the 5 factions is the winner. But I would still like to explain to you the 3 new factions and the new artifacts and potion abilities. You would think that shapeshifters work a little bit like the doppelgangers, but that's not true. When played in phase 1, shapeshifters switch with the card in the middle of the table. The card in the middle is now the card you've played, and you are now competing for the shapeshifter card. Druids are very handy when you lose tricks. If you lose a trick after playing a druid in phase 1, keep the card in front of you and rotate it around. The druid has now become a bear. Your next card played will now have a +3 value. That card is then discarded afterwards. Wizards are very special. When you win a trick by playing a wizard, draw a potions card, but do not look at it. Set it face down in front of you. During another trick, when you play a card, you may flip over the potion. The potion will more than likely help that card by increasing its value, but it may decrease it as well, so look out. The potion card is then discarded afterwards. Now let's take a look at the different artifacts. The Crown of Light says, play at the end of the game. Add this to any one of your factions. It counts as a 5 card of that faction. Serpent Sword. Play this card as you play another card. Add 3 to that card. Horn of Silence says, play in phase 2 after each player has played a card. Each player instantly takes the card that they played into their score pile, regardless of the hand's results. The player that would have won leads the next hand. Spear of Vengeance. Play when you lose a trick in phase 2. Discard one of the cards from the middle of the table from the game before players collect played cards. Crystal Ball. Play this in phase 1 when you are picking a card from the top of the deck. Instead, draw 3 cards, select which one you want, and return the others to the deck and shuffle. The Fool's Crystal says, play in phase 2 as you take a card into your score pile. Exchange a card from your hand with the card you are placing into your score pile. The Magician's Horse. Play after both players have played a card. Swap the cards that you played with one from your hand. Then, the hand's winner and loser are decided as normal. Flying Boots. Play at any time. The next 2 cards that you play have a +2 value. Forgotten Runestone. Play when you are collecting a card for your score pile in phase 2. Instead, discard that card and then place this card underneath another faction card already collected. The Forgotten Runestone card counts as an extra card of that faction. The Internal Lantern says, play after you win a hand in phase 2. Draw 3 cards from your opponent's hand, look at them, and then hand them back. They must have at least 5 cards left in their hand to play this. Staff of Order. Play this card after you lost a hand. You take the lead on the next hand. Frost Necklace. Play in phase 2 after both players have played their cards. Set those cards aside and play another hand. The same person will lead again as the first time. The winner of the second hand will determine who gets the cards from both hands. The Divine Hourglass says, play this card after both players have played their cards. Then, both players take their cards back into their hand and the hand is replaced. Shield of the Veil says, play this card as your opponent plays a card. Subtract 3 to that card. The Steen of Kings says, play this when you play a card from your hand. That card changes to a faction of your choice. The Axe of the Cloud says, play at any time. The next 2 cards your opponent plays are -2. The Lover's Bow. Play when you have to lead a trick. Both players must play 2 cards instead of 1. The first card you play is still the lead faction, and the second card must follow the faction if you are able to. And the Night Ring says, play this card when you play the second card. You do not have to follow the faction, and you don't need to have the same faction to win, only the higher number. Claim Magic is part of a series called Claim Reinforcements, and you can see these games on our website www.WhiteGoblinGames.nl. And please don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment and a like, and then we will be very happy and we will make better videos for you guys. I want to thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next tutorial video.